Hello everyone and welcome back. Okay, in this tutorial what we're going to do is we're going to pretend we work for a company called Kent Bank. So Kent is a part of the United Kingdom. I've never been, but it looks like a nice place. So we're going to pretend we work for this bank in Kent and we have to write a program that is going to decide whether our customers get approved for a mortgage or not. So there'll be some conditions based on what our manager has told us. So the client has to have savings greater than or equal to £20,000 and they must be debt free. If both of those conditions evaluate to true, our program will approve them for a mortgage and then we'll just lend them 5 times their salary. Okay, so that is what we have to look forward to in this tutorial. So we're going to create a fictional client just for the sake of it, really. So we're going to have like client name, client savings, whether the client is debt free, and their salary. Obviously, it's not ideal, putting all this information into just separate variables. Really, you'd want to wrap that in an object, but we haven't covered objects yet in this course, so we're just going to create our variables. So I'm going to say let client name be equal to Rachel Dawes. Welcome to our bank, Rachel. So what are your savings? So Rachel tells us that she has saved £25,000. Awesome. Good job, Rachel. Now we want to ask Rachel, are you debt free? She says yes. Awesome. So we say let is client debt free. I've gone for a capital C there. Just make a note of that. And then Rachel, what's your salary? She says she earns £42,000 a year. Good for you, Rachel. Let client salary be equal to 42,000. Awesome. Okay. Right. So we have our details. We don't really need to use Rachel's name, I guess. Really, we just want to find out if we can lend to her or not. So we're going to create a function called will mortgage be approved. And you already know, based on the rules of Kent Bank and our manager, what they've informed us, the client has to be debt free and they must have savings greater than or equal to 20,000. We'll check their savings first and then if they're debt free. So basically, you should know what to do. Use the function keyword, give your function a name, pass in two arguments. The function will be defined with two parameters, so we're ready to receive in the data as arguments. Then we just do an if statement and we'll use the double ampersand. So if condition 1 and condition 2 are both true, return true, else return false. So we have function will mortgage be approved. I suppose I could just say mortgage approval. Mortgage approval, that'll be simple, yeah, true or false. So mortgage approval. So two parameters, savings and debt free, or debt status. Yeah, debt free is fine. Then we have our curly braces. So inside of here, what we want to do is we want to do our if statement. If the client has savings greater than or equal to 20,000 and if they are debt free, we will return true. So the first thing you want to do is just check savings. So you say savings greater than or equal to 20,000 and if the client is debt free, so you could say and if debt free is equal to true. What you can do as well if you want is you can just wrap the first condition inside of parentheses and the second condition inside of parentheses. Okay, and then if both of those conditions are true, we can just return true. In other words, mortgage approval or mortgage approved has been granted. Else we're going to return false. We're not going to lend to this person. They're not going to get mortgage approval. So basically, application rejected, I'm sorry to say. Okay, awesome. Now, some of you will probably know you don't actually have to have debt free as strictly equal to true. You can just delete all of that as want and just check to see debt free. Because remember, if we were to pass in Rachel's details, we're passing in is client debt free, that'll be a boolean true. We're passing in true, so that'll be hard coded true really, because that'll be true. Well, it's not hard coded because the data can change, but essentially we'll be checking to see if savings is greater than or equal to 20 and if debt free is true. I'll put it back to strictly equal to true for now, just for user readability, but you can delete that if you want, because checking to see if debt-free is strictly equal to true, it's really just the same as just checking debt-free, whether it's truty or falsy. Okay, awesome. Now what we want to do is we want to pass in Rachel's details to our function. We'll store that in a variable called lending decision and then just log out the lending decision to the console. So now we're going to say let lending decision be equal to, so this is now where we're going to call or invoke our function. So it's the mortgage approval function, and we want to pass in two arguments. So the first one is savings has been defined as a parameter for the function. So Rachel's savings here are stored in the variable client savings. So you can just paste that in. I'll type it out. So client savings. Okay, so client savings. I'm now taking Rachel's details. So remember, 25,000 is what Rachel saved. It's stored in this variable. I'm passing that in as an argument that will be going into our mortgage approval function. And then basically, is Rachel debt free? What's her status? So let's paste that in. So what do you think is going to happen? Well, basically, we have our variable lending decision. We're assigning that the value of mortgage approval, the function, but we've passed in our arguments. So we're passing in client savings. So remember, client savings is 25,000. So 25,000 is the value I'm passing in here to the function, and that's being passed in, received here as an argument. So now we're checking to see if 25,000 is greater than or equal to 20,000. That evaluates to true. And is the client debt free? Well, we have a variable here. Is client debt free? That's equal to true. So we're passing in true here. That is being received there as an argument true. So now we're checking to see if true is strictly equal to true. So basically, condition 1 and condition 2 both evaluate to true. Therefore, we return true. Rachel has been approved for mortgage approval. So we can log that out to the console. So we can say console.log lending decision or lending request approved. And then we'll just say lending decision. Okay. Now if we save and refresh, let's have a look. And we get lending request approved. Okay, awesome. Now that we've been approved, however, we want to let the client know how much we're going to lend to them. So then we can do is an if check. We can say if lending decision is equal to true. And remember, I do have access to lending decision here because this lending decision has been declared in the root of the document. So it is a global variable. That is why I'm able to just get access to it here in that if check. So if lending decision is equal to true, basically we want to first of all calculate the mortgage amount. So we'll say let mortgage amount be equal to the client salary. So client salary, and again we have access to the client's salary because it has been declared globally in the root of the document. That's why I have access to it down here. So client salary, and we're going to lend them 5 times their salary. That is the policy of Kent Bank where we work. So now we have our mortgage amount. Let's let the client know how much we're going to lend to them. We'll just we'll log it out to the console. Yeah, we'll say console.log. Let's do backticks because I want to embed the variable mortgage. So let's say congratulations. Let's do Rachel's name. So client name. Congratulations, Rachel Dawes. You have been approved. You can borrow. You have been approved for, and then the mortgage amount variable. Okay. So now if I save and refresh, let's see how much Rachel can borrow. So lending request approved is true, and we say congratulations, Rachel Dawes. You have been approved for £210,000 sterling. Okay, awesome. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Really what we did is we created 4 variables here. So client name is Rachel Dawes, client savings 25,000, is client debt free, that was assigned a Boolean value of true, client salary 42,000. Then what we did was we defined or created our function here. So here is basically where we defined our function, And down here is where we called or invoked the function. This is where we called or invoked function and passed in the details. So for our function, we just used the keyword function. We called it mortgage approval. Inside of the parentheses, we have two parameters, savings and debt free. So that information is passed in as arguments, and we're just checking to see if client savings is greater than or equal to 20,000 and they are debt free, we will return true. Remember, with the AND operator in JavaScript, or the AND logical condition, both sides have to evaluate to true, and we return true. Else we return false. Then what we do is we call upon our function, we pass in the client savings, in this case 25,000, and the client's debt status to get our lending decision. If that is returned to us as true, we then just log out to the console, lending request approved, and then if it is true, we then run this if statement where we basically calculate the mortgage amount and log it out to the console. Okay? Remember, we don't enter that if statement if the client is not approved for a mortgage. So we could just basically write some logic for that saying else you've not been approved. But I'll let you do that. So guys, that's it for this tutorial. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Awesome.